Coming up tonight on News Watch, a Missouri man is charged in Coles County for grooming. We'll detail other charges leading up to the arrest later tonight.
Plus, Illinois lawmakers are considering a bill to make streaming services easier on your ears. We'll explain coming up. Scott?
Good evening. Lots of surprises coming up for East Central Illinois in weather this weekend, and we'll get to that. This is News Watch, your Friday evening edition, coming up next.
The Charleston House proudly supports Newswatch. Now welcoming guests on Charleston's historic 6th Street. The Charleston House Bed and Breakfast Inn offers refined accommodations in a beautifully restored bed and breakfast. For booking information, visit craigcollection.com or call the number on screen.
TCI Realty, Charleston area's real estate connection. Commercial, land and farm, and residential real estate. Experienced realtors with an up-to-date website at tcirealty.net. TCI Realty supports the students of WEIU Newswatch.
Illinois State Police released video and details of an encounter between Decatur police and a man who died in custody. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Austin Perez.
And I'm Olivia Bennett. That encounter happened on the night of February 23rd, and that video was released just hours ago. We'll warn you, the video may be troubling. Decatur Police Department says officers responded to a welfare check in the 3500 block of East Corman Street. On arrival, officers spoke to 39-year-old Ty Doolin and another person in the home who they say didn't feel safe around Doolin. Decatur police say they tried placing Doolin in custody, but he resisted. Doolin began showing signs of respiratory distress and was taken to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead. Illinois State Police say they're releasing the video you see here in the interest of transparency, and you can view the full video through ISP's website. They say the case is being reviewed by the Macon County State's Attorney's Office. A Macon County judge has ordered new forensic research in a decades-old murder case. In 2022, Michael Slover Sr., Michael Slover Jr., and Jeanette Slover were convicted in the murder of Karen Hearn Slover. In recent years, the Illinois Innocence Project at the University of Illinois Springfield has taken up the case and asked for additional testing. Now, court records show Judge Rodney Forbes has ordered Illinois State Police to conduct an analysis of 3 DNA profiles in the investigation and compare them with profiles in state and national indexing systems and the combined indexing system.
A Missouri man faces sex crime charges in Coles County. Records show authorities charged 24-year-old Clayton Newland with traveling to meet a minor, sexual assault, and grooming. Newland was taken into custody on Tuesday and is being held at the Coles County Jail. A detention hearing will be held on the 17th.
Good evening. Well, you might not have noticed it this afternoon, but our temperatures were slightly above normal. 60 for the high in Effingham today, 59 at Robinson, 59 at Terre Haute, and those further north just a little bit below that, as might be expected, 57 here in Charleston. Currently, we're still in the 50s, and we have winds from the west at about 15 miles per hour passing through campus. Visibility clear with those clear skies. And our area conditions show a lot of uniformity as we speak at this very moment. We'll have your full forecast coming up in about 5 minutes, but right now let's go back to the anchor desk.
Officials are investigating an oil spill in Taylorville. The Taylorville Fire Department says crews were dispatched to Manners Park on reports of an unknown liquid floating on the North Pond after 3 Thursday afternoon. Authorities say that substance was identified as a fuel-type oil. They say the oil originated near the local train depot and entered the pond through a storm drain. Fire crews used absorbent booms and pads to slow and contain the flow of the oil. They say the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency was notified and a cleanup contractor was dispatched to the scene. IEPA officials were in Taylorville today to investigate the incident. Interest in hunting and trapping bobcats is on the rise in Illinois. The Illinois Department of Natural Resources says 9,700 people applied for bobcat hunting permits this year, with 2,000 issued. The numbers are significantly higher than a decade ago, and in 2016, only 141 permits were issued and 130 bobcats harvested. This year, hunters collected 627 bobcats. 62% of bobcats were taken by hunters, 34% by trapping, and 4% salvaged from instances like roadkill. Bobcat season ended February 15th. If you're annoyed by those really loud commercials on streaming services, you are not alone. Capital News Illinois reports a bill moving through the Illinois Senate would regulate the volume of ads on streaming services. That would mean ads couldn't be louder than shows and movies on platforms like Hulu and Netflix. The FCC already does this for ads on broadcast, cable, and satellite, but sponsors say the state needs the same rules for streaming.
I think that this is really important because it really does affect people's quality of life. And I think that we have a responsibility to, to look at those kinds of things and do what we can.
The bill passed out of the Senate Energy and Public Utilities Committee unanimously Thursday. It now heads to the Senate floor.
If you're voting by mail, you need to do it soon. Officials say to mail in those ballots by Tuesday, March 17th. There's also a 2-week grace period for late or missing ballots. And if you don't want to send a ballot by mail, you can use a secure drop box. To find those boxes, go to the Illinois State Board of Elections website. Transportation officials say bridge replacement work on I-57 north of Effingham will be causing delays for drivers. The Illinois Department of Transportation says work begins March 16th on the northbound bridge over East Branch Creek. During construction, I-57 will shrink to 1 lane in both directions as crews build median crossovers. IDOT says the project is expected to last until November. The construction is part of the $33 billion Rebuild Illinois program.
Big changes may be coming to a rest stop near you. The Illinois Department of Transportation says work is now complete on the next generation prototype for rest areas throughout Illinois. The new Trail of Tears rest area along I-57 near Anna in southern Illinois was finished late last year. The $15 million project includes new buildings with larger lobby spaces, stone facades, and more bathrooms. Authorities say the National Trail rest area on I-70 near Effingham is currently in the design phase. IDOT says construction for that project is expected to start in about a year. Effingham area car dealers are celebrating a big haul. HSHS Homes says their annual Cram the Car food drive collected 1 ton of food and goods last month, along with $1,375. They say 5 area dealerships took part, along with colleagues at HSHS St. Anthony's Memorial Hospital. Those donations go to Effingham Catholic Charities to help those struggling with food insecurity. A cloudy and a potentially rainy weekend is ahead of us.
How's the weather looking, Scott?
Well, I'll tell you, there's a slide we're showing you now, and we're going to show you its changes because we have some pretty surprising changes, and we'll get to that in just a moment.
Take a look at a 2,000-year-old coin experts say traveled through time, starting as an ancient civilization's currency and ending as bus fare. The coin was recently donated to a British museum by a man who says his grandfather, a transit employee, gave it to him in the 1950s after someone used the rare piece to pay for a bus ride. According to the Leeds Discovery Center, the coin's origins date back millennia to 1 BC, where they say it was produced by the Carthaginians, an ancient civilization on the Spanish coast. Realizing its age and significance, the man donated his grandfather's gift, which will now be studied and displayed at the museum, which houses currency from cultures around the world spanning thousands of years of history. Yet another historic relic that was hidden in plain sight is this seemingly innocuous stone found in an Eastern European backyard that archaeologists say was once a mold for ancient weaponry. According to a recently published study by Archaeological Views, the stone, a volcanic rock found used in an old barn wall in the Czech Republic, dates back to the Bronze Age, around 1350 BC, where experts say it was likely used to make molded weapons like spearheads. Using X-ray technology, researchers were able to trace the stone's origins at a microscopic level and even made 3D renderings showing what weapons it was used to craft might have looked like. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Good evening. Welcome back to weather, and take a look at this, your uniform conditions. And we're about 30 minutes in front of our sunset tonight. It's our last sunset before the 6 o'clock hour this season. Overnight tonight, our temperatures will be dropping, though. We'll be down in the 30s with low temperatures near 34 under partly cloudy conditions, and those winds gusting up to 15 miles per hour from the cold north. But that will be subject to change a couple of times this weekend. Now let's take a look at your weather forecast for tomorrow. Very pleasant Saturday, generally speaking. It'll be quite a contrast to what you see for Sunday. Very pleasant. We start out with temperatures in the mid-30s at 35 degrees, and then we move up into the 40s. Actually, it's a slow-moving warm-up. Our high temperature, though, a seasonally average 53 for mid-March. And there is a mid-morning wind shift, which gives us winds from the southeast, and that will continue. But we were talking earlier about the big change that is coming. The jet stream shows us a lot about that. First of all, what is happening right now and also tomorrow, you see the lanes or the lines are staying in their own lane, as I like to say. That means our temperatures are about what they should be for most regions, just straight across west to east. But then, yikes, look at Sunday. We've got cold air coming down from the Canadian north, and that is just about to hit, and in fact it will hit late on Sunday. Let's now talk about day two. Quite a contrast from Saturday. Sunday, we start out partly sunny, but look at those winds. They have picked up from the south, 40 miles per hour or greater. Our temperatures warm up with that southern air, 58 degrees at mid-morning, and then into the early afternoon, we're in the 60s. It looks like early spring. Will it stay? Well, we've seen temperatures in the 80s 3 times or close to it in the past 14 days. But winter waits in the wings, because look at this big change from 5 p.m. when we have a big storm risk because of this change and the friction between the cold and the warm, and overnight possibility then of temperatures really dropping into the 30s. We are, because of that friction of movements between the cold air and the warmer air, at a level 3 risk for severe storm activity. We believe that will be in the evening hours on Sunday. We're at a level 3 risk on a scale of 1 to 5 for the southern and southeastern portions here that are shaded, going also all the way to the east in Vigo County. Now, here's Futurecast, and it shows us that there are the possibilities for some showers on Sunday afternoon. That turns into the possibility of storms moving from west to east in a big line. And then look what happens next. A possibility overnight of some snowfall. So that's going to be certainly notable going into your Monday morning, when the morning temperature will be in the 20s, and it won't get much higher during the rest of the day. That's our 7-day forecast. Now back to the anchor desk.
Oh, Scott, I cannot believe that we're not going to be having an early spring. I'm so sad.
Yeah, have mercy on me. I'll be traveling a lot. Thanks, Scott. Still to come, I'll have your full Sports Watch report, including a big night in high school basketball.
But first, we're learning more details about a plane crash in Iraq that killed 6 members of the U.S. military. Your national headlines are coming up next. Thanks for watching. This is Newswatch on WEIU.
I'm Everett Lau, an Eastern Illinois University graduate from the class of 2021. As an Edgar County farm kid, I grew up with a childhood dream of becoming a broadcast meteorologist. I spent a lot of time in the WEIU studio during my 4 years in college, and that's how I got to this studio, WTHI TV in Terre Haute, Indiana. WEIU prepared me for long nights of tracking thunderstorms, fine-tuning details of approaching winter storms, and how to be a broadcaster in general, whether it was weather, news, or even sports. I needed WEIU to achieve my dream, and now WEIU needs me and you to help carry out its mission of setting up students for success. Please consider making a financial gift to support WEIU so the station and its dedicated staff can continue operating this outstanding training ground for aspiring broadcasters, journalists, and scientists. Your gift can allow local students like me provide local programming for our local communities. Learn more at weiu.net or by calling the station. Thanks for watching.
U.S. leaders confirm 6 crew members died in a military airplane crash in Iraq yesterday. They say the crew were aboard a refueling plane, and the military says no hostile or friendly fire was involved, but an Iranian proxy group claimed responsibility without evidence. The second plane was forced to make an emergency landing, and officials have not shared additional details about what happened, and the names of the dead have not yet been released. Also in Iraq, 1 French soldier is killed and several others are wounded after an attack in Kurdistan. French President Emmanuel Macron confirmed warrant officer Arnaud Friand was confirmed killed in the attack in the Erbil region. Macron says French forces have been fighting ISIS in the region since 2015, and he says the war in Iran does not justify the attack. Amid the ongoing war with Iran, the U.S. is lifting sanctions on some Russian oil shipments now stranded at sea. The move is meant to ease the global energy shortage and rising oil prices triggered by the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which is a critical route for about 1/5 of the world's oil supply. U.S. Treasury officials say the authorization only applies to Russian crude ships already loaded. They say it won't be a major financial boost to the Russian government. Now we are turning our attention to sports, and here with the headlines is my co-anchor, Austin Perez.
Thank you, Olivia. Tonight in sports, U of I men's basketball begins their Big Ten tournament run. But first, Tolono Unity boys basketball heads to the state finals in Champaign as the Rockets look for their first state title in school history. We'll have a full recap right after this. Thanks for watching. Your WEIU Sports Watch report is coming up next. In a historical class of athletes, Tolono Unity High School wants to make history in a sport they're not as famous in, basketball. Can the Rockets reach the state finals for the first time in school history against Peoria Manual? Tipping things off in the first, Peoria Manual is here for a reason as Taj Tolliver sets up his own assist as he lets the rocket fly. And it's nothing but net. Rams lead by 1. But don't go anywhere because the Rockets are taking off. In a very physical drive, Unity's first shot is missed, but first-team All-Area QB Dane Eisenmenger gets it done in basketball as well, making this tough layup as part of his 14 points on the day. In this game, the passes mean more than anything, and Eisenmenger lets it rip like he does on the field. Tyler Henry can't get the first shot, but his twin brother Braden has got him covered. Unity takes the 2-point lead into the final quarter, but something must have really been in that rally speech because Peoria Manual flips the script. The Rams take their sweet time going up for the points, but it's Reginald Pulstaway with the and one that ends the state title dream for Unity. Although the Rockets fall 57-62, head coach Matt Franks speaks highly of his senior class.
Competitors, that's the shining asset that they have. They're pulled. What makes them so special is they're pulled in a million different directions, and the fact that they're able to come together in a basketball season and do what they've done, again, words can't express of how proud I am.
Despite the tough loss, Unity would go on to finish the season on a historical note, dominating Farragut in the evening third-place game, 86-60, finishing third in Class 2A action with the highest ever placement in school history. But it's not just Tolono Unity taking home hardware. Some local high school athletes earned some statewide recognition in high school boys basketball. The Illinois Basketball Coaches Association has named Charleston's Tyler Oakley and Mattoon's Lincoln Hayes as special mentions to the 2026 All-State teams. In the Trojan Senior Guard's final season, Oakley made local history as he went on to break CHS's all-time scoring record. As for Lincoln Hayes, he helped the Green Wave to a 17-15 overall record and a third-place finish in the Apollo Conference. The start to the Charleston baseball season will be a bit delayed. Athletic Director Brian Dedman confirmed to Sports Watch that the Trojans will not play their scheduled games against Centennial on March 16th and 17th. Current projected highs for both those days are in the 20s, forcing CHS to make schedule changes. The Trojans will still play Centennial, but only for one game on March 28th. Illinois men's basketball begins their Big Ten tournament run with one goal in mind: improve their March Madness positioning. But it isn't easy at first for the Illini as they take on 23rd ranked Wisconsin. U of I led by as much as 10, but the Badgers come back time and time again and stun Illinois in overtime, winning 91-88. It's another ugly loss for the Illini, who dropped their final 3 games against ranked opponents. Illinois will likely settle in as the 3 seed for the Big Dance and will face one of the nation's top mid-major programs in the opening round. Eastern Illinois baseball is back on the diamond this weekend as they hit the road to take on the Memphis Tigers. EIU's home opener against Illinois Wesleyan was canceled due to midweek storms, but the Panthers aim to continue their winning ways as they won 2 out of 3 against Bellarmine last weekend. Those 2 wins improve the Panthers' record to 6-7 on the year, and they hope to rack up wins against a 3-12 Memphis squad. Panthers ace Bryce Riggs looks to continue his red-hot start to the season, allowing 3 runs in his 22 innings so far. First pitch for Game 1 is set for 6 this evening. The ladies also return to action for their home opener this weekend, taking on the Lindenwood Lions. EIU softball started their quest for a 3rd straight OVC regular season title on the right foot with a sweep over Morehead State last weekend. A rough non-conference schedule leaves the Panthers sitting at 8-16 so far this season and will have their work cut out for them against the 10-11 Lions. The game just got underway at 5 o'clock, and you can check the result for tonight and the rest of the weekend series on the EIU Athletics website. In the National Basketball Association, Matas Buzelis and the Chicago Bulls head west to take on Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and the LA Lakers. Luka starts on a heater, draining back-to-back deep threes to give the Lakers the early advantage. But then it's the Bulls' turn to put on a show as Yuki Kawamura throws it off the glass for Buzelis, who slams it down with force. However, nobody in Chicago can stop Luka Doncic as he keeps on scoring. These buckets are part of Luka's 51 points on the night. And with the cherry on top, 43-year-old LeBron soars in for the Monster Jam. LA's offense explodes and beats the Bulls 142-130. Chicago is right back in action tonight against another NBA team in LA, the Clippers, at 9:30. And finally tonight, with spring strolling in, Major League Soccer continues its early season surprises. Chicago Fire FC sits at 5th place in the Eastern Conference standings with 4 points in the second year under former U.S. head coach Greg Berhalter. They will play DC United tomorrow at 7:30. And that's all for tonight's Sports Block. Olivia, back to you.
Thanks, Austin. Coming up, more cold weather is ahead. Scott Ely returns in just a moment with a final look at your Skywatch forecast. But first, 2 Coles County officers received their flowers for their hard work. We'll have more in our parting story. Thanks for watching. This is Newswatch on WEIU.
Hello, Jane. Please, have a seat.
The official trailer is out for Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day. Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Colin Firth, Eve Hewson, and Coleman Domingo star in the First Contact film. Everything will be revealed when Disclosure Day opens in theaters June 12th.
I was so lonely. I was really, really lonely.
I feel crazy saying this.
Outside of here would be crazy, but inside here, where it's safe, yeah. What's crazy about that?
Group, the Schopenhauer effect blurs the line between performance and reality. Actors play group therapy participants alongside a real-life psychoanalyst, with most of the dialogue improvised and actors told to respond differently than expected. The film is in theaters today. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Finally, tonight, the Coles County Sheriff's Office is recognizing its best. Detective Cody Parsons and Corrections Officer Josh Miller have been named the 2025 Officers of the Year. Sheriff Kent Martin says patrol and investigations deputies vote on the award every year and thanks the pair for their service to the county. We now turn it over to one of our best, Scott Ely, with a final look at the Skywatch forecast. Take it away, Scott.
Well, after that pleasant day on Saturday, kind of erratic on Sunday, windy and warm with the possibility of severe storms, possible damaging winds, and the threat of tornadoes. But in your 7-day forecast, it looks like we get back to normal toward the end of the 7-day period. And in fact, toward the next week, it'll be back to your type of weather, Olivia.
That's true. I am happy to see that 60 degrees in the forecast, if nothing else. Well, thank you so much, Scott. For more news and weather, be sure to log on to our website at WEIU.net.
And if news is happening in your community, let us know by dropping us an email at news@weiu.net.
Newswatch is off next week for spring break for some here at EIU. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on March 23rd for another edition of Newswatch.
The Charleston House proudly supports Newswatch. Now welcoming guests on Charleston's historic 6th Street, the Charleston House Bed and Breakfast Inn offers refined accommodations in a beautifully restored bed and breakfast. For booking information, visit craigcollection.com or call the number on screen.
TCI Realty, Charleston area's real estate connection, commercial, land and farm, and residential real estate. Experienced realtors with an up-to-date website at tcirealty.net. TCI Realty supports the students of WEIU Newswatch.